Okay, we're reviewing for the quiz. The quiz is on Monday. And what's on the quiz? We're telling you right here. These are the things that you really need to know for the quiz. The first thing, describe graphs in terms of whether they're increasing or decreasing and the rate at which they do so. That's like, for instance, saying, here, I've got a graph for you, okay? It's like this, and it starts going like that, and it goes flat for a while, and then it goes like that. All right, if this is time, which is always the independent variable, remember, and this is distance, which in this case is the what variable? No, that one's the independent. What's this one? Dependent. All right, good. And this one's x, and therefore this one's y. And do you remember which one's the input is? Yep, these are the inputs. And these are the outputs. All right, good. There's part A of my graph, part B of my graph, and part C of my graph. You got to be able to describe this in this example way. Decreasing at an increasing rate, or decreasing at a constant rate, or increasing at an increasing rate, etc. Describe parts A, B, and C. Use abbreviations because it'll be a lot faster to write, but describe them so that if I call on you, you'll be able to say, oh yeah, that part is increasing at a decreasing, or whatever. All right, that first part, part A. What do you say, sir? Decreasing at an increasing. I agree. Raise your hand if you said the same thing. Good. Part B. It's important now that you get a distinction here. What do you think part B is? You're correct that it's no change, but there's a word I would want. Constant. And you just say constant. You don't say constantly increasing or constantly decreasing. You just constant. And the part C. Over in the corner pocket. Constantly decreasing or decreasing at a constant rate. Either way is fine. All right. How many of you feel comfortable with that part? You're going to be fine on that part. Okay, good. Now I actually need to go the other way where read a graph and interpret what's happening in the real world based on a graph. I'm going to give you a situation and I want you to make a graph for it. All right, so here's the situation. I'm going to tell you in words what happened, and then you tell me what it should look like. Billy was riding to the park. He started at 0 miles away from home, and as he was riding to the park, he rode at a constant rate. Then he stopped for a while. In the last part of the graph, he rode the rest of the way to the park at a faster and faster rate. The first part was a constant rate. The second part was a stop for a while. The third part was a faster and faster rate. The last part's messed up. First two parts were fine. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. That's kind of right, except the last part should have a curve to it. Nope, you messed up on the constant. You went back home again on your graph. We don't want that. They stayed in one place for a while. That's what we want. Good. That's what we want. Yes, 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 yes. Eventually, it's an avalanche of yeses. Good. All right. So it went up pretty steady. Then it was like this. And a lot of people think that he's moving. He's not. Time is moving. But think about this. If he's at like 8 miles away from home, he hasn't moved there for a while. He's just at 8 miles from home. He's still at 8 miles from home. He's still at 8 miles from home. And then at the end, it does one of these. It gets faster and faster. All right, good. Okay, enough of that. Let's look at some more things that are on the test. Evaluate simple functions when given an equation. Example, f of 3. Evaluate more complicated functions, such as 2f of 3, etc. I got some nice problems all made up for that are coming. And then evaluate functions with equations, graphs, and tables. All right, so let's get to it. Flip to this one. Now, there's a lot of them here. We don't need to do all of these. Just to get your brain warmed up, number 1, g of 2. Did I tell you x or did I tell you y? I told you x, and x is 2, and therefore you go to here. That's where x is 2, and then you say, what does that go with? You follow it down, right there, and the answer is, remember, you can write a point for it, 2 comma negative 2. And then here's the thing that's really important that you get about a point. If there's a point like 2 comma negative 2, that means f of 2 is negative 2. Do you get that? That's what a point is. And now, in this case, it's g. I shouldn't use f. I should use g. G of 2 is 2. So that means here, g of 2 is 2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. Any questions on that so far? So that one I told you the x. Go to number 2. First, you figure out g of negative 7. Then, what does that negative in front mean? What does the negative in front of everything mean? Makes it negative, or makes it, another word for it is, starts with an O, the opposite. It makes it the opposite of. All right, so figure out what g of negative 7 is, and then make it the opposite of that. The reason I don't want to say makes it negative is because what if it was negative already? Then it makes it the opposite of that. It makes it positive. So find g of negative 7. That's where x is negative 7. And that becomes 0. So this is kind of a bad problem to have a negative on the front of, because you got to do the opposite of 0, which is pretty much 0. I know you could make the argument it's infinity, but that's not what that's supposed to mean. Negative 1 times 0. Negative 1 times 0 is 0. Raise your hand if you agreed with me on that one. Okay, some of you aren't raising your hands when I do that, and I can't tell if that means you're stumped or... All right, and I thought you all knew it. All right, good. Don't feel like you have to raise your hand if you don't understand it. But I don't want people that understand to not raise their hand and make me think half the class is confused. All right, g of 2. I'm starting on the inside, just like in the movie Alien, when the alien starts on the inside of the person and then works its way out. Okay, maybe I should stick with the baby chicken hatching out of the egg, because it's much less violent and disgusting. All right, g of 2 means x is 2, so there's x is 2. And then, oh yeah, that's that point again. And the y was negative 2. So this part right here is a negative 2. But then I do g of that. G of negative 2 is a whole different place. G of negative 2 is putting x is negative 2 into it. That's where x is negative 2. And you follow it up to that spot, and that is what? 4. Raise your hand if you had 4 on that one. Okay, good. Moving on to the next one. That one's actually very easy. We're going to skip it. Go on to 5. Everybody do number 5. And this time note that they told you the y. Turn it my way and I'll tell you if you're right or not. Correct, sir. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. All right. I can't see it. Zoom it. Yes, good. Good. Unfortunately, oh, you did the wrong one. We skipped that one. All right, moving on. Everybody had that one. It was negative 2 because at y is 4. You go up here, and then you follow it over to there, and x must be right there, negative 2. All right, 6 is a tough one. My technique on this one that I like to use, you might have another way that's better, but this is the way I like to do it. I don't like it when there's stuff in here, so I scribble it out. And I start the problem by just figuring out g of something, whatever that is negative 2. And then I figure out what the scribble must equal. Then I make a little equation to finish it. So g of what is negative 2? It's a much simpler question. So then I know y is negative 2. There's y is negative 2, and I follow it over, and there's my answer. It's at 2 comma negative 2. What does that mean? That means g of 2 is negative 2, right? So can you tell this part right here has to be 2? Now, what's underneath the scribble has to be 2. So whatever's underneath the scribble equals 2. What's underneath the scribble? X plus 2. So you go x plus 2 has to equal 2. Subtract 2 from both sides, and you got x equals 0. Raise your hand if you had 0 before I did. Okay, good. Let's move on. Oops. This one. Using these functions, figure out f of 2. Well, these are kind of ugly functions, so let's actually do that one. Figure out f of 2. I had surprisingly a lot of people got that one wrong, and now they're ours. So let's try that one. I'm going to pause for a second while you work on that. All right, last thing I want to show you here on the video is the table kind of problems. And so we haven't done those in a while, so we should probably do practice 1 or 2 of those. This one, f of 2 and then minus 1. Well, f of 2, here's the f. Here's where x is 2, and the answer is where they overlap there. It's 1. But it's not a final answer of 1. It's 1 minus 1, which is 0. When you actually subtract them, you get 0. Next one, m of 0. M of 0 is the middle of the inside. I got to start there. Start with m of 0. So here's m of as 0, where x is 0. And that's like this, because this is the 0. And there's where they overlap, -1. Is that the final answer? No. F of -1 now. So now you go to the f function of -1. F of x is -1 gives you a final answer of 0 on that one. All right, make sure you study tonight. Quiz is on Monday. And that's all I got for you. Have a great day.